MK President Jacob Zuma, and officials of MK Party who are in attendance, honorable members, members of MK Party in all the 9 provinces of our beloved country, Setjhaba sa heso, Setjhaba sa South Africa. Last week, the President rose before this House and presented what he called the State of the Nation address. It took us more than 2 hours of listening and more than 7 million from our national coffers. But MK Party says it was not a State of the Nation address. It was a State of Intent address. It described plans, committees, trust teams, another investment summit, and what government hopes to do. It failed to report an account to the nation about the performance of the disunited so-called GNU. And a nation in crisis, under House Chairperson, cannot be governed by intention. In 2018, the President kickstarted his tenure with Tumamina slogan and went on to introduce South Africans to an imaginary story of Tintswalo. Under this slogan and story, we have heard only promises. Economy will grow, infrastructure will be accelerated, crime will be defeated, corruption will be uprooted, jobs will be created, municipalities will be reimagined. But the lived experience of our people tells a different story. In Johannesburg, communities line up at water tankers. In Africa, most industrialized city. In rural provinces, families are still sharing stream water with animals, and their calls for reliable sanitation fell on deaf ears. Because of lack of commitment by the GNU to MK Party's call for free education, year after year, students face registration and accommodation challenges. Compounding this situation, even those young people with qualifications sit at home excluded from the economy. This is not what we must celebrate as recovery. It must be acknowledged for what it is. It is stagnation. The President says we have turned a corner, but growth remains weak. Unemployment remains structural. Poverty remains entrenched. The President wants us to celebrate what he termed economic growth, citing minor quarterly growth. South Africa population grows faster than its economy. If a nation's economy grows slower than its population, it is not progressing, Mr. President. It is what we call per capita decline, where more people fall into poverty. And I think, Mr. President, your business experience enables you to make sense of this basic reality, not unless you use Mr. Paul O'Sullivan crash course acquired knowledge to understand it. Honorable Chairperson, as MK Party, we can't celebrate when the masses of our people are pushed into poverty trap or turn into perpetual dependence of social grants. We welcome the cooling off of consumer price inflation because it helps. It helps to lessen food prices. What concerns us as MK Party is that low inflation in the midst of poverty and high unemployment is not good enough. Hence our insistence that low inflation must be accompanied by economic growth. We can't lower interest rates but fail to increase expenditure on growth-prone infrastructure. We don't need the current austerity approach by National Treasury to take advantage of low interest rate. If youth unemployment remains the highest in the world, then we are not harnessing our demographic potential. We are wasting it. Municipalities continue to deliver basic services, water and electricity, not consistently because of systematic problem of infrastructure. Honorable members, the President speaks of rebuilding institution after state capture. But institution, Mr. President, actually deteriorated only after what you call the 9 wasted years. Collapse only came after 2018. Rail capacity declined only after you took over in February 2018. Port efficiency worsened after you took over. Cape Town became worst port in the world in 2022. Energy supply collapsed from 2020 and turned into rolling blackouts under the incompetent and the director, who was previously appointed at the expense of a pool of black professionals within the energy sector. It is interesting, South African, to know that with pride that ESCOM is somehow stable under the same black professionals overlooked when the leader was appointed. Honorable Speaker, it is a national embarrassment that after 4 years before 2030, National Development Plan deadline, the so-called GNU, can't measure the success and failures of what's supposed to be South Africa National Plan. The global order is shifting. Nations are pursuing industrial strategy. Unlike the so-called GNU, they are protecting strategic sectors crucial for development of their countries. Our country is massively endowed with mineral resources. We have no excuse not to reindustrialize. We must reverse industrialization decisively. They are investing aggressively in infrastructure and domestic production. South Africa cannot afford this systemic reform that was cited in the speech. Mr.
Ramaphosa, if you do have eyes, you can see. If you have ears, you can hear.
South Africa stands at a crossroad.
The house is burning.
We can't continue with committees, task teams, and commissions without consequences, announcement without enforcement. The people of South Africa deserve more than this managed decline that you pronounce. They deserve a better state of the nation. MK, in few provinces, as you know, emerged in 2024. This was a historic emergence. Our party is currently having footprints in all the 9 provinces. Very known as the president, always shocked by development in his own country. Voters in all these provinces have requested us to convey the following message to you. Because of your consistent and unfulfilled SONA promises, they will make sure that your party is severely punished during this year's local government elections. They say because of GNU, when you work with people that are opposed to triple PEE and transformation agenda, your party will be voted out. And no amount of vote rigging will deter them. They say they want an alternative government that will grow their country's economy, create jobs, fight crime, combat illegal immigration, and remove them from the apartheid-created poverty trap. MK Party is ready to offer that alternative. We hope the outcome of this year's local government elections are not going to shock you, because we are warning you now. You are not going to come after the election results and say the results shocked you. Chairperson, we are very grateful as MK Party. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Van Rooyen. I now invite Honorable the Minister of Agriculture. Please take the podium.
Chairperson, honourable members, Mr. President, today as I rise to respond to the President's State of the Nation address, I do so with a sense of measured optimism, but also renewed determination. The President's speech reflected a country that has begun to turn the corner after years of stagnation, crisis, and lost hope. Under the GNU, we have achieved real, tangible progress. And let me be clear, much of this progress bears the unmistakable imprint of the DA's principled participation, our relentless push for reform, and our unapologetic focus as a government on what actually works for the people of this country. Our economy is growing again. 4 consecutive quarters of positive GDP growth, a feat that seemed unimaginable not so long ago. Inflation is at its lowest level in 20 years. 2 consecutive budgets of surpluses, stabilization of our national debt, interest rates are easing, borrowing costs are declining, the rand has strengthened, and as we heard today, Mr. President, unemployment is the lowest that it has been in 5 years. These are important signals, not intentions, Honourable Van Rooyen, that work under this 7th administration, a coalition government, and the first not under single-party rule, is making a positive impact, and the world is taking notice. South Africa is today a better place than it was on the eve of the 2024 election. I'm proud that the DA's presence in government has been a force for good, injecting competence, fiscal discipline, and pro-growth policies into a system that was long weighed down by mismanagement and cadre deployment. But honourable members, while we celebrate these achievements, we cannot afford complacency. At projected growth rates of around 1.5%, it falls far short of the 3% or more needed to lift millions out of poverty and to create the millions of jobs our people so desperately need. Too many South Africans wake up every day to the harsh reality of joblessness, crumbling municipal infrastructure, and rampant crime in our communities, and a local government that far too often fails those it's meant to serve. The lived experience of citizens, communities protesting for water, entrepreneurs battling red tape, families fearing for their safety at night, has not yet matched the macroeconomic headlines. We have turned the corner, yes, but we are nowhere near the destination. And that is why I say unequivocally and clearly today, we must move faster, much faster. We need urgency now. Firstly, by accelerating economic liberalization and private sector involvement. Operation Vulindlela, Mr. President, has delivered results in energy and ports. And we now need to expand it to rail, water, and telecommunications. Unbundle, concession, and privatize where necessary to unlock investment and efficiency. Replace restrictive BE policies with genuine broad-based empowerment that includes skills, ownership, and opportunity for all, not just a connected few. We must also replace failing empowerment frameworks with ones that genuinely tackle poverty. The DA's Economic Inclusion for All Bill represents a significant step forward, achieving a vision of genuine economic empowerment for all South Africans, and is the type of reform our country desperately needs. Second, we must get local government working, outlawing cadre deployment for all, appointment on merit, holding municipal officials accountable, and rooting out corruption. Competence must determine who runs our cities and towns so that our people are served by their local government, not the other way around. Thirdly, doubling down on job creation and youth opportunity. We must, Mr. President, expand the successful models already implemented, but pair them with real structural changes easing labor market rigidity that deters hiring, and to incentivize businesses to hire more South Africans. Fourthly, tackling crime and insecurity head-on. The deployments announced are welcome, but we need sustained intelligence-led policing, foster courts, and communities empowered to partner with devolved law enforcement closer to the people. And finally, let us recommit to the GNU's founding promise of stability for reform, not reform stalled by politics. Speaker, the announcement by the President that foot-and-mouth disease has been classified as a national disaster is welcome. This will assist government to unlock a coordinated and much-needed coordinated response and provide much-needed resources, and supports the new national strategy that moves from a fragmented outbreak reactionary response to a whole of society, scientifically based, proactive war against foot-and-mouth disease in South Africa. Make no mistake, tackling FMD is a massive challenge, and it will require collaborative, transparent, and sustained effort to resolve. FMD has been a reality in this country long before we came into government, but we appreciate the enormity of the impact on farmers, both financially and emotionally. But, Mr. President, we have for the very first time a plan backed by science, and that has involved the private sector every step of the way. This plan will succeed, and when it does, the consequences will be profound and positive. As markets previously closed to South African beef will once again be available to us, and certainty will return to the red meat sector. We're also determined to take urgent steps to help those in greatest need as a result of this outbreak. Securing a sustainable, reliable supply of vaccines has been a major priority. South Africa lost its ability to produce vaccines in 2005, and since then we've relied on vaccines only from the Botswana Vaccine Institute. Under the new strategy, we have, for the first time, secured new international suppliers, strengthening our response. In addition, for the first time in over 20 years, the ARC has produced a batch of vaccines for operational purposes. This facility has been capacitated to produce 20,000 vaccines per week initially, up to 200,000 per week in 2027. Millions of doses are being procured, and today I can announce that on Saturday, we will be receiving a delivery of 1 million vaccines from Biogenesis Bago. This will be the largest single import of vaccines to date, and this will bring much needed relief to the most affected provinces and regions, and this will be followed by additional vaccines from other countries. In total, we anticipate by the end of March, we will have received over 5 million vaccines from 3 different suppliers. Mass vaccination will continue and be accelerated. Already more than 2 million vaccines have been administered, and daily vaccines are being administered across the country. We're also working on veterinary capacity, and it is being expanded. And Mr. President, today I can also announce that in terms of the Animal Diseases Act, private veterinarians can register to administer vaccines as part of the rollout strategy. This will greatly improve the available manpower to ensure that we are able to meet our vaccination target of 80% of the national herd by December this year. Because protecting agriculture, as we've seen from the latest economic data, is not only about farmers, it's about protecting economic growth, jobs, and stability. Speaker, the DA remains fully committed to this coalition because it is delivering where single-party rule failed. But let me be clear, commitment does not mean blind loyalty, and we will continue to fight for foster bolder change and ensuring that every cent of public money works for the people and not for politicians. Honourable members, this is the opportunity of a lifetime to build the country of our dreams. But opportunity only means something if it is seized. Our children will never forgive us if we fail to capitalize on this moment by driving faster and deeper reform that confronts the things that hold our country back head on. To every South African listening today, the progress we have made is real, but the work ahead is urgent. And we will lead that change, championing freedom, fairness, opportunity, and excellence. Together in this government of national unity and beyond, we can build a South Africa that rises faster. But the time for cautious steps
Thank you,
is over.
Honorable
The time to
Minister.
sprint
Your
towards
time is
prosperity
up.
is now.
Next on my speakers list is Honorable Malema.
Thank you very much, Chairperson of the NCOP, President of the Republic of South Africa, the people of South Africa. Mr. President, we warned you 8 years ago that the Oppenheimers and the Ruperts will neutralize you, and your legacy will be that you auctioned our country and its strategic asset to the highest bidder. You did not heed our warning. You have auctioned our sovereignty to asset management companies such as BlackRock, which is why you have praised for the growth of the JSE. You auctioned our country by selling our ports, our railway, our energy generation capacity to the private sector. And now you want to do the same with water. You do not take responsibility for creating jobs. You do not take responsibility for fighting crime. You do not take responsibility for infrastructure development. And you do not take responsibility for growing our economy. There is no sign of any infrastructure of a bullet train, that there are no design plans of a smart city, and there is not even a curriculum for an institution of higher learning in Ikuruleni, as you have promised. You asked us to send you to Mamina, and we made a mistake, we send you. And as your term of office come to an end, you have nothing to show for it. Under your term, crime is out of control, and your deployment of the army is the last resort. You are admitting that you have failed to fight crime. The people of Gauteng have been terrorized for too long by the so-called Zamazamas, and on the deployment of the army, we have no choice but to support you because you have destroyed law enforcement capacity. Our concern is that how do you deploy a military which have been crippled by austerity measures to fight crime? Because we know that our military is understrained and under-resourced and has been humiliated in war zones abroad. And how do you intend to ensure they can fight crime domestically? Additionally, we have warned you before that the army is combat trained and is not trained to enforce laws on civilians. The scale of crime in our country cannot be dealt with by the army alone, because crime is a national crisis and a social crisis. If you do not resolve the challenges of unemployment, the challenge of alcohol and substance abuse, and the high dropout rates of the youth from schools, then crime will be a permanent feature in our society. Crime in South Africa is organized through drug syndicate, protection fee rings, sex trafficking rings, and gangs. It has infiltrated all forms of government, and putting guns in the streets alone will not resolve this crisis. Mr. President, the rot in our criminal justice system begins with your political party, which has factionalized law enforcement and intelligence on the basis of who emerges in your conferences. The biggest syndicate is the political party you are leading, Mr. President. Mr. President, subjectively, this government has done nothing to grow this economy or to strengthen our currency. Let us take this opportunity to remind you of your own commitments. Last year on this same platform, you committed to grow the economy by 3% through infrastructure investment, structural reforms, and inclusive growth and employment. You no longer speak of this figure, and National Treasury itself predicts economic growth at 1.5% and will most likely reverse this projection down as the year progresses, because that is their tradition. You speak of the achievement of a budget surplus as a positive economic indicator, but it is more of an indication that you are implementing austerity and spending less on saving the needs of the country. Why will you be proud of a budget surplus in a country with massive unemployment, collapsing municipal infrastructure, and poverty, which is leading the death of children in the Eastern Cape. You're proud when it comes to EPWP jobs is something you should be ashamed of and not mention at this level of governance. Those are temporary jobs which are used to secure income for volunteers of your political party. It is slaves jobs with no security because you cannot secure a car or a home with an EPWP job. Mr. President, the electricity crisis in South Africa is far from over. The mistake you are making on declaring an end to the electricity crisis is the same mistake you have made with the water crisis for decades in this country. Now that the people of Sanders no longer experience electricity outage, you no longer view it as a crisis, forgetting the people of Soweto, Mdantsane, Seshego, and Ditsobot. You have given load shedding a new name, and that new name is load reduction. On top of that, you have lost control of the pricing regime of electricity, and NERSA is pronouncing an increase in the cost of electricity every few months. Your municipalities do not have an idea of the infrastructure they are seized with governing. It does not matter how many billions of rands you give them to revive water infrastructure. The fact of the matter is your minister and your mayors do not have the town planning, do not know the town planning of where water infrastructure begins and where it ends. This is why they respond to burst pipes and leakages as they happen and run after one pipe to the other. In Ekurhuleni, we have an MMC of water of the EFF, Thembi Msani, and sanitation, who is managing a water infrastructure there and has been declared as a water champion. When your minister was running around complaining about water, our MMC of water in Ekurhuleni was given an award the same week and declared a water champion. Instead of benchmarking from the DA, which struggles to provide clean water to people of the city in this township, go and benchmark from the EFF department there in Ekurhuleni on how to fix the water crisis. Mr. President, you will not fix our municipalities if you do not revise the backward and outdated equitable share model, which allocates more funding to the national and provincial spheres of government while giving the least allocation to local government. The idea that all municipalities can be self-reliant on revenue generation when you know you preside over a country that is massively deindustrializing and is suffering massive unemployment is misguided. We need to focus on strengthening municipal capacity, but in addition to that, focus on recovering revenue from major industries which consume electricity and water in bulk. These companies must be given incentives on rate paying, which will compel these industries to invest in developing municipal infrastructure such as roads, water, electricity, clinics, and schools. Mr. President, we want to say to you, we fully support you on your posture when it comes to international relations. Your support for Palestine, the people of Western Sahara, South Sudan, and the people of Cuba. We agree with you that Africa must begin to negotiate its trade relations as a bloc and with unity, and that no nation must ever again think it has got the right to bully us and impose on us who our friends must be and who our enemies must be. We agree with you that not civilians must take the law into their own hands and harm foreign nationals. And you must tell those in your cabinet and who support you that they must not campaign using violation of the human rights and murder of foreign nationals. They claim you agree with them. You must continue to denounce them, Mr. President. Others are killing people to perform rituals as we approach local government elections. They think by killing foreigners, they will win elections. They must ask their friends who came here with the name of killing foreigners. They did not win elections. Xenophobia will never win them elections. And some of them are found in your cabinet. You must remind them as you meet them on the corridors. Just say to them, xenophobia will not make you a president. I might have made you a minister. We call on you to exhibit your courage by closing the Israeli embassy, which is a resolution of this National Assembly. You have declared their representative as a persona non grata, and the skies did not fall. Close their embassy and cut relations with this genocidal nation. The USA has sent a rampant racist as its diplomat in this country, and we must exercise our right to refuse cooperation with the individual whose sole intention is to dictate to us what our foreign policy must be. Mr. President, your Pala scandal has rendered you ineffective in dealing with corruption and incompetence in your party and in your cabinet. When Dr. Zweli Mkhize was found to be involved in digital vibe scandal, you did not have the courage to remove him. He resigned. Today, Zweli Mkhize is the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. When Honorable David Matrobo was identified as being a key part of the corruption in the State Security Agency by the CRL Commission, you did not remove him. Instead, he's the Deputy Minister of Water and Sanitation. When Senzo Mtunu was exposed last year for having formed part of the infiltration of the South African Police Service and disbanding of the Political Killings Task Team, PKTT, on New Year's Eve, you did not remove him. You have retained Senzo Mtunu at the taxpayer's expense and called him your political burden to bear. Today, the people of this country do not have water. Instead of consequence management against Honorable Pemnima Judina, who does not have a clue what she's doing, you create another task team for water, which is chaired by you, because you do not have the courage to remove her. If you have the courage to remove her now, so that you demonstrate that you've got the courage. You've got the premier. Your premier tells us he is inconvenienced and his solution is an elite, is to take a shower at hotels, while your citizens do not have that luxury of going to take a shower at the hotel. You did not reprimand him and demanded that he apologize unreservedly to the people of South Africa. When you assumed office, you claimed it will be a transparent presidency, then proceeded to seal CR17 documents of your own funding for your own presidential campaign. And then also your political party majority in parliament to block the investigation on Pala. Where is the transparency you are talking about? You said you are going to be an honest man who's going to be an open book, that your door will remain open. And today, your door will remain closed. You even put butler doors to make sure no one accesses you and the documents that are attributed to corruption. Let me reassure you, Mr. President, as long as the EFF is still alive and in this parliament, Pala will never die. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Malema.
Speaker.
The next speaker on my list is the Honorable Minister in the Presidency.
Speaker.
Order, honorable members.
Speaker, is not a point of order, it's a point of procedure. I just want to put it to the House that President Jacob Zuma is in the House together with Deputy
Honorable
President.
member, I can't see who's speaking. I didn't give you permission to do that. Can you please follow the rules of the House? What are you rising on, honorable member?
Speaker, I'm rising on a point of procedure to tell the House that President Jacob Zuma is in the House together with Deputy President Tony Ngeni. Can it be acknowledged?
No, honorable member, please. Honorable members. Honorable member, there's no provision for me to agree with what you are saying. Please, let's proceed with the House, sitting of the House. Over to you, Minister.
Chair,
Madam Chairperson of the National Council of
Chair, on a
Provinces.
point of order.
Yes, you may.
Yeah, House Chair, I think you need to go and read the rules correctly, regardless about how you feel of former President Zuma. We acknowledge state presidents here in the House. He hasn't been impeached. Nothing has happened. When we opened this parliament,
Honorable members, I can't hear what the honorable member is saying.
Okay,
You're
I'll
making
say it
noise. If you may repeat, please.
It's the sound system. I don't know who this. We had the same problem the last time. We are quite happy for the EFF to help with the sound, but let's park that for now. Honorable, you still can't hear me. Honorable Speaker, you need to go to your rules. Not Speaker, Honorable House Chair. You cannot say that there's no provisions to acknowledge a former state president. It's not true. Whether you like former President Zuma or not, whether he's part of your party, doesn't have membership, it's immaterial. He was once upon a time a state president. Do the right thing.
Honorable member.
Well, even now, acknowledge the clerk, the whole murderer who's roasting now in hell. But you can't acknowledge.
Honorable
no,
member,
wrong.
can you please
House
allow
Chair,
me?
please.
I've made a ruling in that regard. Can we please proceed?
Which rules did you
Deputy
read?
Minister,
No. House Chair, which rule did you read to say that? Can you refer us to a rule that says you must not acknowledge a
Can
former
you
state
please
president?
respect the ruling?
Which rule? But you can't rule just out of your head on your House Chair.
Honorable Mates, can you
You
please?
can't just go on a whim here. This is not ANC MEC meeting. We are in Parliament. There's our rules here and there's procedures. You have acknowledged a murderer. You
Point
can't
of
go in
order.
the House and you're not doing it. It's wrong.
Blah, blah, blah.
Honorable Minister in the Presidency, please continue with your speech.
Madam Speaker and the Chairperson of National Council of Provinces, His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa and Deputy President Mashatile, honorable members. The 2026 State of the Nation address went beyond recounting our progress and future intentions. It challenged us to act, so we rise together that we must use strategies that have made us succeed in the past to fix what we must, if I must borrow your words, Mr. President. What made us succeed in the past is the ability of the President to mobilize business, labor, and civil society to contribute their expertise and their part, Honorable Malema, around a focused plan to resolve specific problems. This is the secret behind the success of the reform program driven through Operation Vulindlela, colloquially known as OV, since the 6th administration under the ANC. We cannot expropriate Operation Vulindlela. It is the ANC initiative. We must fix what we must, Mr. President, so you directed us. On the water crisis, the President elevated the coordination of the interventions to address the crisis to a National Water Crisis Committee that he will chair. The work has already commenced, Mr. President. The OV team and the Department of Water and Sanitation have started with the assessments towards a water action plan that should be ready by mid-March 2026, and a call for technical capacity as part of mobilizing resources and expertise to support municipalities in crisis is in the works, and that includes support to the municipality of Ekurhuleni because there is a water crisis in Ekurhuleni. The current draft water action plan is focused on addressing immediate crises, propelling reforms in the water sector, and unlocking investments in the municipal water infrastructure. You have also directed us that we must act to strengthen the criminal justice system to fight organized crime. And to do that, Mr. President, you have directed that the State Security Agency revet members of the senior management structures of the SAPS and vet members of the Metropolis departments. We have commenced with work in this regard. To ensure progress, the SSA has indicated that they are going to prioritize the revetting of police officers and management implicated at the Matlanga Commission, and in the metro departments, they will start at the Ekurhuleni Metropolis Department. Engagements with SAPS on the revetting process have commenced to ensure full cooperation of affected members, and the revetting will also include officers due for promotion to the SAPS SMS structures. And to ensure their cooperation, we are, as the SSA, going to share the SAPS revetting plan with the National Commissioner of Police, the Minister of Police, and the Joint Standing Committee of Intelligence by end of February 2026. Work underway to implement the Madlanga Commission findings is not an exception. We have not only been implementing the Zondo Commission's recommendations action plan, which was submitted to Parliament, but we have been reporting the progress to Parliament through SCOPA. In March 2026, we'll submit the third progress report to Parliament and the fourth no later than June 2026. And to date, 57% of the action plan has been implemented. You have also called us to action to streamline firearms licensing regulations, and the National Conventional Arms Control Committee will, in the month of March 2026, consider the firearms importation control regulations and consult with the Minister of Police in line with the Firearms Control Act for purposes of streamlining licensing, possession, and trading in firearms and ammunition, so that we remove firepower from the hands of criminals and strengthen the fight against organized crime. In 2024, we made regulations for coordination of national intelligence for the first time in the history of our country. And in 2025, we started the full coordination of national intelligence structures through NICOC to ensure the implementation of the national intelligence priorities to achieve national security, and we have moved to use technology. We secure the G20 South Africa through advanced technologies, including biometrics, AI, and analytics. And we are expanding the technology coverage towards the fight against organized crime. In terms of the 2019-2024 National Intelligence Priorities, which was released last year, national intelligence structures have identified illegal immigration as a threat to national security, and therefore this year will strengthen our support to Home Affairs to deal with illegal immigration, not only at the ports of entry, but also support the Department of Employment and Labor's inspectors to curb the employment of undocumented foreign nationals, also through the use of technology. And we are consolidating the gains of our development, Mr. President. But Honorable Malema will argue we have nothing to show for it. Maybe we need Economics 101, because I also saw Mr. Van Rooyen arguing the same. This morning, Statistics South Africa released the fourth quarterly labor force survey. Our economy has wind in the sails, Mr. President. Employment increased by 44,000 in the fourth quarter of 2025. The number of unemployed persons, listen to this, decreased by 172,000 to 7.8 million during the same quarter. Official unemployment rate decreased by 0.5 percentage points from 31.9% in the third quarter of 2025 to 31.4% in the fourth quarter of 2025. We are not yet there, but we are solidly on the way. The budget surplus, may again on Economics 101, helps us to pay down existing debt. It lowers the debt, our debt servicing cost. Therefore, meaning we release the money to be available to fund infrastructure and also social programs that are important for the livelihoods of our people. And it also increases economic confidence. We are making progress in the turnaround of Transnet. Though you wish to say we have privatized, we have not privatized. We need to know our strength and say who can partner with us. There's nothing wrong with government partnering with South Africans to deliver for the best interest of South Africa. Minister Chrissy will elaborate on the details of the improvements in performance at Transnet. Again, you said there are no plans for the passenger rail, but you are in Parliament, you are not in government. Those plans are plans that are in the executive, separation of power. But the passenger rail, again, is gaining momentum. We are taking on more commuters, reducing the cost of commute between home and work and from home to others using our own Isitimela Sabantu. Again, Minister Chrissy will provide that. Mr. President, we commit to perform and deliver on the timelines you have set against us, and as the Presidency, coordinate the work of government to make sure that we deliver and focus cabinet in that delivery. Because we are the daughters of Sophie de Bruyn, we are the granddaughters of the women of 1956 March, and in their footsteps, we are committed to serve the public purposefully and intentionally for the rise of South Africa, as you have called us to action. Rise, South Africa, rise.
Thank you very much, Minister Nchabeni. Honorable members, before I call upon the next speaker, I would like to take this opportunity and acknowledge the presence of the former President of the Republic of South Africa, Honorable Zuma. He's here with us today. Thank you very much, honorable members. You may take your seats. Order, honorable members. We are now proceeding to the next speaker. The next speaker on the list is Honorable the Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. Over to you, Minister.
Your Excellency, the President, the Honorable Speaker, and the Honorable House Chairperson, honorable members and fellow South Africans. I speak today as the Minister of COGTA, a minister in the Government of National Unity, to which I and the IFP have pledged our full commitment. I speak also as the leader of the party with the long-standing values and principles that will not be compromised, for they offer South Africa what our country, our economy, and our people need, which is integrity, stability, and hope. I have said that the IFP entered the GNU with the aim of rebuilding South Africa, and I'm proud of the IFP's performance within the Government of National Unity. The successes outlined by the President during SONA stand as a testimony to the strength of a multi-party democracy in which diverse voices are truly represented. More especially, they point to intentional, sustained, sacrificial, hard work to keep the GNU stable. We do this for the sake of furthering our initial gains. Yes, our economy is finally growing, but it needs to grow faster. It needs to outpace the growing inequality in our society, the mounting social needs, and the bargaining unemployment that plagues us. South Africa has a potential workforce that is staggering in its sheer size. Indeed, the productive potential in our country is unique from a global perspective, but the potential to fail our people, to fail our youth, and to fail to achieve what we are capable of is a real and present danger. Honorable President, the social grant system is a crucial safety net for the vulnerable, but in fact, it demands a fundamental redesign to genuinely assist those in need. Our parallel priority must be the empowerment of our citizens towards self-help and self-reliance. In the long term, this will create the fertile ground in which our economy may flourish. When everyone can stake a claim in South Africa's success and everyone is able to make their contribution. The women of 1956 showed extraordinary solidarity and courage in the face of injustice. Minister of Culture, I must emphasize, Your Excellency, the words that you indicated during the SONA on the centrality of fixing the many dysfunctional municipality, a task which is being tackled and will be completed by 31 March 2026 through the review of both the white paper on local government and the municipal funding model, which will be a game changer to our local governance system. Deployment of officials will have to be on the basis of competency and professionalism, not political deployment. The white paper on local government review will place municipal governance on a sound footing, facilitate efficient cooperative governance, and harness the potential within the institution of traditional and cohesion leadership, creating genuine governance partnership with traditional and cohesion leadership. Your Excellency, the white paper on local government review will yield to great and progressive change if political parties come elections of the local government will deploy competent political leadership as mayors, deputy mayors, exco, speaker and MPIC chair, who will drive and become the agents of change and service delivery. The IFP commends the establishment of the National Water Crisis Committee as a temporal measure to fix a much wider range of malaise of water crisis that has accumulated over decades. An emergency solution is necessary, and we believe this committee as a temporal measure will bring a great relief. But the long-term solution is building capacity in municipalities, ensuring that the competent leadership in municipality do maintenance timelessly on an ongoing basis, build more reservoirs, and deal with the multitude of water losses as a result of the infrastructure that is failing to perform because it was never attended timelessly. Honorable President, there is another leak that we must fix, and that is the leak of economic and social resources through unchecked illegal migration. The IFP classifies the pervasive presence of undocumented foreign nationals as a threat to state security. While we support...
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Your time is up.
Thank you very much, Honorable
Thank you very
Chairperson.
much. I now invite Honorable the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture.
Chairperson of the NOCPV.
Chairperson, you see, already.
These are my friends, so leave them. Let me start.
It's NCOP. Let's do it together, Minister Gayton. NCOP. NC.
Order, Honorable
Chairperson,
members. Order, Honorable
Chairperson,
members.
can you respect?
Allow the speaker on the podium to deliver his address.
The watch mustn't go, I've got lots to say.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Let me start by thanking the people of George. The people of George has voted in the past 3 weeks in 3 by-elections overwhelmingly for the fastest growing party, the Patriotic Alliance. Thank you. Without wasting time, Honorable President, the people that vote for the PA has sent me here to say thank you to you for listening when we said illegal foreigners are a problem. You, Mr. President, are an example to all our mayors across the country, to all the mayors of the different political parties, that you listen to your coalition partners. You are a president that is consultative and you're listening. That's why today we have 10,000 labor inspectors that's going to go around the country. That's why today any businessman hiring an illegal foreigner shall meet with the arm of the law. Most importantly, Mr. President, and very emotionally for our people, thank you for listening to our cries when we said, bring the army to our areas. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, we would like you to add the Eastern Cape, because there more people die in the Eastern Cape than anywhere else. Mr. President, the GNU, this one, they don't want the GNU. They don't want the DA, but they want the GNU. I can tell you we are very happy in the GNU. There's no space for you. We will see you in the next election maybe, but not now. Mr. President, there's a difference between reality and perception. The perception from our enemies is that the GNU is doing nothing. I stand here today to tell South Africa that indeed we have turned the corner. We had 10.5 million tourists flocking to our country. We had the highest matric pass rate ever in the government of national unity. The rand has stabilized and it is strong. Load shedding, Scootla, when you see it's done, it's finished. There's no more load shedding. Now, I find it very ironic. Unlike Honorable Malema, they didn't mention my name, but he was talking about me. I'm going to mention your name. It is very ironic that you speak about the high crime rate while you have contributed yourself to that crime rate through your conviction. From now on, when you say pandit, you must specify which pandit are you talking about, me or him. You must specify, you must be very clear. He's a convicted criminal. He's a bandit. Mr. President, in March...
Honorable Minister, can you please hold on? Honorable members, please let's not drown the speaker on the floor.
Thing is a fact.
Please, honorable members, order.
Thank you,
You
thank
may
you.
proceed, honorable.
Order, Chairperson. Chairperson. Chairperson.
Huh?
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, the person on the podium is the Minister of the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. It is not a thing. My reservation I have is the reference made to the Minister as that thing. They need to withdraw, Chairperson. That's not a thing. That is the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture and the President of the fastest growing party in South Africa. They need to withdraw.
Honorable Minister, please proceed.
In March, Honorable President, we have 54 of the world's top golfers coming to our shores. We have sold 75,000 tickets. South Africa is the premier destination for people that sees the GNU Yasebeta. Minister Mazodin, your only crime today, because you look so beautiful in red. Now we must hear how incompetent you are. Sugar, you look very nice and you are working very hard. Don't listen to people that don't know what's happening in government. I am a minister, I'm sitting in cabinet. You are a government in forever waiting and waiting and waiting. In conclusion, I want to say the GNU does not work because of a particular party. The GNU is working because all parties are working very nicely together. GNU ya sebetsa, re a qhubeka, re a go pele, di raha di sale, rona re a tseba mo re yang teng. The GNU is the best. We must ask real economists, not pop economists. Real economists will tell you, we have turned the corner. Once you hook dry, ridiculous corner. President, your tie is very nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. The next speaker on the list is Honorable Mulder. Point of order. Yes, Honorable Member, Honorable Mulder, please take your seat. Now, Honorable Member, can I request that you speak a bit louder because I hardly hear a thing. There's echo from where I'm seated. It's very difficult to hear you. Please, that's what I'm requesting of you.
Thank you. Chair, I want to understand, is it parliamentary for a Minister of Sport to stand up and say absolutely nothing about the department he's leading, sports, arts and culture? Is it parliamentary? Is it allowed?
Honorable Member, that's a very subjective question you are asking and not related to the rules of the joint sitting. Can we proceed, Honorable Mulder?
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. Honourable President, at your inauguration after the 2019 election, you said the following: "Yes, South Africa, to Mamina, send me. I pledge here today that I will serve you. I will work with you side by side to build South Africa that we all want and deserve." I respect you for that, and I know that you are still trying every day. Today I'm going to speak in my home language, Afrikaans. But out of respect for you, Mr. President, I've provided you with a translated copy of my speech.
After that speech in 2019, there was a great expectation in South Africa, and it was believed that it would be a new beginning that would send South Africa in a positive direction, to tell everyone that was ready to stand with you, to Mamina, send us. But now, 7 years later, it's clear that things did not work out exactly that way. It was difficult Thursday evening to listen to the long list of problems that you mentioned, where you spoke of all of those new task teams. Not all of these problems happened coincidentally. No, it actually happened under the rule of the ANC party over the last 30 years. Irregardless of the task teams, we have reached a point where our country is completely grinding to a halt and stagnating, where it cannot be led ideologically into the policy directions that you've promised. Things like cadre deployment, black economic empowerment and affirmative action, that simply doesn't work. And I can just briefly address three other matters. Firstly, water supply. To have clean water is a basic human right. The crisis is so severe that you as president have to take control of it yourself. A water shortage didn't occur overnight. 30 years of maladministration coupled with no maintenance of infrastructure lies at the root of the problem. In most parts of the country, there's more than enough water, but the pipes are leaking and the pumps do not work. With cadre deployment officials that do not know how to get the things to work, the estimation calculation of Johannesburg is that 50% of water is lost due to leaking pipes. Secondly, foreign policy. There's no difference in the foreign policy that you have mentioned in this and the previous SONAs. My problem remains that it still remains the ANC's policy and not the policy of the GNU. During your speech, you were stiff-necked and defiant when addressing foreign affairs. You said, "We stand on our sovereignty and we will not be bullied." That's all good and fair. But your stubbornness and blindness to what is currently happening in the world is absolutely no excuse. With our foreign policy, it's currently causing South Africa enormous economic damage. You say that South Africa remains a clear and consistent voice for international law, for justice, and for human rights. But that is just completely untrue. When Russia invaded Ukraine, South Africa conveniently forgot about international law. When Iran shot and killed thousands of its own citizens and sentences women like Zara Tabiri and Masha Amini to death, human rights apparently didn't matter. Not a single word of judgment from DERCO or the GNU were uttered. Last Friday, the Minister of Women, Sindisizwe Chikunga, delivered a speech at the Iranian embassy to commemorate their revolution, but again did not say a single word about these human rights violations. This is not in a national interest, and the FF Plus strongly condemns it. Lastly, I want to also speak about the Afrikaner and the unresolved issues between us. Afrikaners and other minorities appreciate the efforts that you are making to solve South Africa's problems. We really do notice it. However, alone you will not succeed. The cabinet and all of your task teams will also not succeed. And also, not even the public service will succeed. It will be a major collaborative effort from everyone in South Africa, political leaders, civil society, and every South African in this country that needs to do this. Then only do we stand a chance. Here is my hand, Mr. President. Today, the Afrikaner and other minorities are extending a helping hand to you. We want to help, but it's not unconditional. We request equal treatment and recognition. It doesn't help if we say we will not be free as long as the people of Palestine and Western Sahara are not free. But with no consequence, as in your own country, an Afrikaner community does not even have the right to determine the language of instruction in their school. We are also not allowed to decide and determine shareholding in our own businesses and companies. That is not freedom. Today, I have once again given you a copy of the Accord on Afrikaner Self-Determination. Afrikaner freedom and self-determination are unresolved issues that will not go away. Let us deal with it. In the past, the Freedom Front Plus has honored our agreements. Look at our history. But the ANC has not. That leads to Afrikaner anger and reaction. Two examples. The FF Plus honored our part in the agreement regarding the Northern Cape. After the election, the ANC blatantly violated it. This makes us angry and a serious breach of trust. The agreements reached concerning the Bella Act and expropriation without compensation were also violated. That makes Afrikaners draw their hands back. But let us look one another in the eye now and address these issues. We are willing, Mr. President. Thank you.
The next speaker on the speakers list is Honorable Kaunda.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Speaker, Your Excellency, President Cyril Ramaphosa, President, members,
malunga ahloniphekile baholi bezomdabuko abakhona manene namanenekazi bantu bakithi eNingizimu Afrika ngimi ngaphambi kwenu somlomo ohloniphekile ngimele
isifundazwe saKwaZulu Natal esenzeka fika
President KwaZulu Natal, which has done very well with the great 12 results in this country.
zonke izifundazwe eseNingizimu Afrika.
Out of everything that's happened in South Africa, but the province, it's a rural province.
It gives me great pleasure to participate in the 2026 SONA debate delivered during the significant month of February, a month that marks the release of former President Nelson Mandela and other political prisoners. This is also the month where we celebrate the birth and commemorating the passing of our founding president of the African National Congress, Dr. John Nangalibele Dube Umafuguzela Onjengelanga. Although he departed this earth many decades ago, we continue to draw inspiration from his philosophy and ideals rooted in education, economic self-reliance, and interracial harmony. It is therefore no coincidence that in pursuit of this vision, he established Ohlange Institute that promoted agriculture, industrial training, alongside academic learning. We must continue to draw lessons from his legacy as we confront the challenges of our time. You'll agree with me, Honorable Chairperson, that one of the pressing issues we face is water security and the decline of core services in our municipalities. Yet we stand today with renewed purpose and decisive action, which is being taken by the President to reverse this tragedy.
We take off our head for you regarding your SONA, which was relevant, and it showed that it demonstrated the country problems, the country issues, and the successes, and the journey we have gone through to develop people's life into a better life. It entails the economy, which is going to create jobs. It also is going to chase away hunger from the people of our country.
We welcome the establishment of the National Water Crisis Committee, chaired by the President. This is not merely another structure. It is a clear demonstration of national resolve. By placing this committee under his direct leadership, the President sends a powerful message that water challenges demands agency, coordination, and unwavering oversight. This is leadership that rises to meet the moment. We further express our appreciation for the 156 billion investment committed to water and sanitation infrastructure.
We may talk about our province. They're going to build a big dam, Stephen Dlamini Dam. They're going to build Low and Upper Mkomazi, which is going to ensure that the water issues are resolved. The water issues facing our people are going to be resolved, especially in the location in the urban areas.
Comes at a critical time as communities across the country faces severe water scarcity, aging infrastructure, and repeated service disruptions. This injection of resources is not only timely, it is essential to restoring dignity and protecting the fundamental right to water for every South African household. Honourable members, we must be honest about the challenges before us. The declining performance of water, electricity, and solid waste services in our municipalities undermines constitutional rights, restricts economic opportunity, and limits job creation. Our 8 metropolitan municipalities, where this challenge is severe, account for more than 2/3 of South Africa's economic activity. Their decline is not merely a municipal concern, it is a national risk. That is why the performance-based grant introduced by National Treasury is a game changer. It shifts us from the funding failure to rewarding performance. It incentivizes metros to reverse the deteriorating in electricity, water, wastewater, and solid waste services. It demands a new governance, culture built on accountability, capability, transparency, and measurable improvements. Honorable Chair, these reforms require that trading services be managed with professionalism and discipline, either a dedicated business unit utilities. These models are tried, tested, and proven locally and internationally to deliver efficient and reliable services. At the heart of these reforms lies a strong accountability that demands a single, empowered point of management accountability and organizational structure, consolidating all necessary functions, a clear service compact between the municipality and the service entity, full financial transparency, a credible funded business and investment plan. This moment calls on us to restore trust in public institutions by ensuring services work consistently, transparently, and sustainably. This is not merely technical reforms, it is a moral obligation. Honorable Chairperson, we acknowledge leadership demonstrated by eThekwini in advancing the district development model. Through the DDM, they've been able to streamline their planning and facilitated the establishment of one-stop shop for environment impact assessment and water use licenses approvals. Through the funding from Infrastructure South Africa, eThekwini Municipality has been able to unlock critical infrastructure for major catalytic projects, such as the 10 billion rands brickworks development in Avoca on the northern part of eThekwini and 15 billion rands eShongweni development in the outer west of eThekwini. These economic projects have injected economic growth and jobs and economic opportunities where they were created. It is important, Honorable Chairperson, to mention that along Entry Corridor, a bold vision is taking shape. The development of a new urban node connecting Durban and Pietermaritzburg. This corridor is becoming a spine of KwaZulu-Natal. The intention to establish a Midland equivalent for the province, reflecting strategic foresights and anchoring logistics, industry, commercial development, and residential growth along one of the country's busiest transport routes. The Cato-Rich dry port development is attracting significant investment and will ease pressure on the Port of Durban, improve freight efficiency, and strengthen export competitiveness. Major Sunrun upgrades to the N2 and N3 corridors, which together carry close to 300,000 vehicles daily, will further stimulate the economy of the province and create sustainable jobs and economic opportunities. This investment in infrastructure has significantly improved business confidence in eThekwini. The latest Business Confidence Index report from the University of KwaZulu-Natal indicate that Business Confidence Index rose from 52.12% in Q3 of 2025 to 63.38% in Q4 2025. A clear signal that reform and investment are restoring trust. Recently, the city of Durban has been ranked among the world's top destinations to visit time out worldwide. In its newly released list of best places to travel in 2026, Durban secured the 14th spot globally, cementing its status as a premier destination for tourism, leisure, and entertainment. Honorable Chairperson, no discussions of growth is complete without confronting the youth unemployment challenge. Therefore, every development agenda must place the youth employment as its core. Key interventions should include mandatory youth hiring quotas linked to catalytic projects, DDM youth economic zone focus on digital economy, logistics, green industries, and township manufacturing, youth work readiness programs tied to infrastructure grants, ensuring very rent spend, build skills, and vocational employment. This should be a collaborative effort between TVET colleges as well as the private sector. This must prepare the youth to become creators of jobs, not the job seekers. A targeted youth public employment guarantee in high unemployment communities, youth must be involved in projects such as pothole patching, grass cutting, and road marking, and installation of solar panels. Honorable Chairperson, to achieve the SONA 2026 presidential directives, we must return to the Constitution. We must focus decisively on Section 217 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, which governs public procurement. Section 217 is not a procedural clause, it is a transformative directive. It instructs that when the state contracts for goods and services, it must do so in a manner that is fair, equitable, transparent, competitive, and cost-effective. But critically, it also empowers the state to advance persons disadvantaged by unfair discrimination. Honorable President, if we are serious tackling unemployment, inequality, and poverty, then we must unapologetically use Section 217 to place key provision of basic services, especially water, sanitation, infrastructure maintenance, in the hands of structured, accountable social enterprises. We strongly believe that basic services must be local economies. Every municipality procures plumbing services, waste collection, road maintenance, stormwater maintenance, and common facilities. These recurring services must be deliberately structured for youth, women, people with disability, military veterans, and community-based social enterprises. Allow me to state this categorically. Our economy cannot transform if we rely on procurement system that was never designed to uplift the marginalized. Therefore, we must place social enterprises at the center of economic reforms because they are the most powerful engine of inclusive growth that we have as a country. Social enterprises turn procurement into empowerment. Every contract to social enterprise, a job created, a family supported, a community uplifted. Social enterprises reach communities the mainstream economy has ignored. Social enterprises do not just provide economic activity, they promote economic justice. They convert social problems into economic opportunities. Where others see obstacles, social enterprises see the potential. If we want to grow, the growth that is fair, inclusive, and sustainable, that we must invest in organizations whose mission is community benefit, not the few. Social enterprises offer transparency, measurable social impact, local economy, and also ensures that the localization is realized wherever our communities are. Honorable President, Your Excellency, the President spoke at length about the urgent need to stabilize and strengthen local government during the 2024 State of the Nation address. He directed the Minister of Cooperative Governance and Social Affairs to lead a comprehensive review of the 1998 White Paper on local government. This review comes at a critical juncture for our democracy. We commend the people of South Africa who actively participated in the consultation process and made their meaningful contributions. Their voices will help us shape a new framework for municipalities that is responsive to the realities of today while remaining anchored in constitutional principles. We are confident that this review will address persistent shortcomings in governance, financial and management, service delivery, and will chart a path towards building an ideal municipality that is democratic, accountable, responsive, community needs, capable of delivering services, sustainable, a driver of inclusive social and economic development, committed to creating safe and healthy environment, encouraging of meaningful community accountability, clear in the assignment of roles and responsibilities of leadership and management. Equally important are the proposals under consideration to restore financial sustainability of municipalities. A review of the financial model for local government is being explored and it must be accelerated. One that directly addresses the structural imbalance where expenditure continues outpaced revenue while service delivery declines. Without reform, this trajectory is unsustainable. The proposed trading services reforms hold particular promise by strengthening management of core revenue generation services such as water provision and others. Together, these reforms signal a decisive commitment to building a capable, ethical, and developmental-oriented local government, institutions that are not only administratively functional, but are the engines of growth, dignity, and opportunity to all. We are confident that reforms will also clearly define the role of traditional leaders as we go forward.
Honorable member, your time is expired. Honorable member,
President,
Mr. Trolley, Chairperson,
international trade
you said that
Did you choose to align with autocratic, despotic regimes across the globe where might is the only fair, and in so doing you alienate our trade partners from the democratic free world? You are recklessly navigating the new world without a moral compass at our collective peril. Mr. President, you continue to pay lip service to stopping illegal immigration and illicit trade, which goes hand in hand. My colleague, Honorable Alan Beasley, bought cigarettes and alcohol within one block of this precinct at a fraction of the price of the regulated products. As long as politicians and political parties benefit from the situation, nothing will change. Despite the fact that these products, companies, compromises the health of South African citizens and destroy their access to employment, not to mention lost tax revenues. You said that corrupt criminals will face consequences, yet you yourself face no consequences for the illicit possession and foreign currency to
to the value of $580,000. What's more, you failed to report the theft of this contraband to the South African Police Services. The silence from your party and your GNU partners on this stinks of the worst kind of expediency. As for expediency, why are Deputy President, it's not my house, actually it is my house, Mashatile, Zweli Mkhize of Digital Vibe Infamy, and Thembi Semelani of VBS Notoriety not charged and prosecuted? Lifestyle audits, my foot. Even the MPA officials have refused lifestyle audits, and it's clear as to why they do that if you watch them at the Hunger Commission and Ad Hoc Committee on our TV screens daily. No, Mr. President, you cannot fictionalize your legacy. It isn't shaped by spin, but by facts. You are right about your government and your bloated cabinet of ministers promoted above the Peter principle, lurching from one crisis to another. Local government is a mess, and your stopgap intervention in Johannesburg before the G20 summit was like putting a plaster on a septic wound. The pus is oozing out again, and there's no water in the taps, despite the Vaal River system overflowing. This is a reflection of what your government has come to represent. Your MEC for Health says sleeping on a hospital floor is a preference. The Gauteng Premier, Antoinette Lusufi, says he too is inconvenienced by having to shower at hotels. This reflects a callous disdain for the lived reality of South Africans. At last, you have intervened in the foot and mouth disease disaster. This 4-year-old outbreak has not been contained due to the systemic neglect and collapse of the ARC and Honest Report biological products that were once world-class facilities. The previous administration spent R500 million to build a world organization of animal health recognized good manufacturing practice vaccine production facility, and we have nothing to show for it. The Minister of Agriculture is sitting on the investigative report, and those responsible for this disgrace are still at the forefront of controlling the disease. Mind-boggling. This state-controlled disease is out of control. Comprehensive vaccination is no one's inspirational decision or choice. It is a desperate last resort because the spread of the disease can no longer be contained. Take note that the Western Cape government, who've jumped the queue to get vaccines, are now also wanting to procure their own vaccines because they don't believe that the bureaucratic bungling of the responsible department and ministry will deliver them to them. If your disaster declaration is to be successful, it's not to ensure the control of animal movement and further destroy economic livelihoods in the sector. Your sole focus should be the urgent acquisition and delivery of enough affordable and effective vaccines, something that the department can't seem to do, and to facilitate the emergency vaccination of contaminated and uncontaminated herds. Vaccination of clean herds mitigates against devastating production loss and livestock mortality. Farmers and their cattle are literally dying for vaccines. Mongameli, Boisagele.
The livestock is being damaged and its life.
10 years ago, a mine shaft collapsed at Lily Mine in Mpumalanga, swallowing 3 South African miners in a container. Previously, mine rescue teams were sent to Chile. We have rescued and retrieved illegal miners, Zamazamas, dead and alive from the Stilfontein and the Buffelsfontein mine, at incalculable cost to the state. Yet you've left these 3 in that container. Yvonne Mnisi says, do not remember me only on anniversaries. Remember me every time you choose profit over people. Solomon Yerende says, I was left underground, but my family lives above ground. Their pain has never been relieved. Pretty Nkambule says, I went to work to earn bread for my family. I did not know I was walking into my grave. 10 years later, my children have grown, but I have not come home. Your Minister Mantashe has promised repeatedly in this parliament by saying, Sizabakupa, Nizabakupanin. Yet, the parents of these deceased and neglected miners are still stuck in despair, and for the past 8 years have camped 1,000 meters from the mine entrance, watching Zamazamas go to work at the mine, where the business rescue practitioner is stuck in a careless time warp of inaction. Your government
You
has
don't
no
care.
Your time is up. Honorable Reverend K.R.J. Mishre.
Madam Speaker, Mr. President, honorable members, yesterday's The Star newspaper had as its top story on the front page an article entitled "Public and Analysts Warn of Another SONA of Lies." It was subtitled, "Critics noted that the President has a history of announcing initiatives that remain unimplemented." The article went on to say that the President's ambitious plans include economic growth, job creation, crime reduction, and service delivery. Mr. President, in short, they are saying implement your ambitious plans. While the ACDP and most South Africans are relieved that load shedding seems to have come to an end, we are nevertheless concerned that we now have water shedding. Pre-1994, many of us looked forward to the fail of apartheid, but did not foresee a new form of suffering that will be caused by poor service delivery and the destruction of our critical infrastructure. We thought that the ANC would be wise enough to retain and hire skilled engineers to maintain our water infrastructure that provided our major cities with clean water while expanding to other areas. We never imagined that people in cities such as Johannesburg, Sandton, Bedfordview, and Germiston would be drinking water that is dirty because of poorly maintained infrastructure. Speaker, in the 1980s, we had municipalities whose quality of tap water was rated above that of bottled water. Today, sadly, some of those municipalities no longer provide such quality of water. Among the Chapter 9 state institutions supporting constitutional democracy is a Commission for the Promotion and Protection of the Rights of Cultural, Religious, and Linguistic Communities. The primary objectives of this commission are A, to promote respect for the rights of cultural, religious, and linguistic communities, and B, to promote and develop a peace, friendship, humanity, tolerance, and national unity among different communities. Mr. President, I want to submit to you that the CRL Commission has failed to promote respect or promote and develop peace and tolerance among different communities. They have instead gone to great lengths to attempt to regulate religion, something the ACDP totally rejects.